time out of your life to put other things aside, to get on the line, to listen. And more than likely you're taking some notes, because this stuff is fleeting. As Earl Nightingale said one time, ideas are like slippery fish. If you don't capture them with a pen, they're gone forever. So we want to write some of these things down that have meaning for you in the moment.
Sure.
So in order to have a breakthrough, first you have to have a break with your old ways of thinking. And again, this is all about you, so you want to look and see, what is my level of thinking? Am I thinking small? Am I thinking big? Have I expanded my awareness? Am I working on me because it's all about you? Just like one of the points in one of our talking points is reality is an interpretation. Well, you have your view of reality. I have mine. Eric has his, and everyone else has a different view of reality.
Right.
And so your view of reality is based on three things, which we'll talk a little more about. But in having a break with your ways of thinking, your old ways of thinking, ultimately, if you're going to increase your results or increase your experience of life, improve your experience of life, and also bottom line results, more listings, more sales, more transactions, more income, then you've got to shift your thinking. And by the way, thinking is habitual for most of us. We have our habitual ways of thinking. So if you think what you think, therefore you do what you do, therefore you get what you get. And so it requires something like a pattern interrupt. And maybe today, if you can think of me as a pattern interrupt in your old ways of thinking, because you're going to have to elevate and expand your way of thinking in order to alter your results. Now, it helps sometimes. Breakdowns are certainly a pattern interrupt, and that's when you stop and look and say, wait a minute, I can't go on like this. What's going on? What just occurred? Why am I where I am? And so, getting a good book that you really almost memorize. I mean, you read it over and over again, or maybe go to a seminar later on. Later on, I'm going to invite you to attend an event that I'm producing and presenting. It's a 3-day event called The Turning Point, and I've been doing it for over 25 years. And so if you're ready for a turning point, you might want to join us for that. We'll talk about that later. So how do you have a breakthrough in your thinking? Well, you've got to alter your thinking, so it might be by introducing new ways of thinking. Either maybe going to a seminar, reading books, some books perhaps that have made a difference for you in the past, reread them. You'll get a whole new level of insight. I reread books all the time. I start my day that way and I end my day that way. So it just gives me kind of a different context for ways of viewing things. And I often say that awareness is the key to change. So whenever that you expand your awareness, you can expect change.
Okay.
The second step is a break with your old ways of doing. And everyone knows that definition of insanity. It's almost a cliche today. Well, doing the same thing, expecting a different result, right?
Right.
But that's what we do. We do the same thing. So in what ways could you change or improve what you're doing? Let me suggest to you, you don't have time to reinvent the wheel. There's a science called modeling, and I'll just give you the quick take on it. I mean, we could talk about it for a day or two or three, but modeling is a science, and I work with Wyatt Woodsmall. In fact, I learned it from him. He's the foremost modeler in the country, and he does modeling projects for companies, corporations all over the world. You take any one task or skill, whether it's being successful in real estate, whether it's operating a particular machine, or he's worked with the Army in how to fire a particular weapon.
Okay.
For an example, one of the weapons that they had in the Army, I'll just give you metaphorically so you can understand, they had one of the weapons in the Army is you look through the sight. This is to shoot down a plane, by the way. Put this thing on your shoulder, you aim it at the plane, and then it would give the person a sound in their ear when it was the right time to pull the trigger.
Okay.
Well, as you know, some people are visual, some are auditory, and some are kinesthetic. So a person who is visual would be the best person for this task, right? Let's say in war or something, you're going to bring down a plane. But if they weren't auditory, they didn't always know the right time to fire the weapon. So they put in, therefore, a visual cue as to the right time to pull the trigger, to bring down the weapon, bring down the plane. So my point being is that in the business of modeling, there are 4 components. The only difference between you and someone else who's doing 10 times your business, we know they are not working 10 times as hard. What is the difference? There's only really essentially 3 key components that are the difference. The first one are their beliefs. So if you look at someone that you admire, whether it's Richard Branson, whom I admire, multi-billionaire and lives a great lifestyle, and I've followed him now for over 20 years. Some people are just becoming aware of Richard. But what are his beliefs versus your beliefs? Right. One of Richard's beliefs is businesses are like buses. There's always another one coming along. He, by the way, has 400 businesses, okay?
Wow.
Okay, and one of his beliefs is to run businesses out of your home. So realtors, you're right there. You run it out of your home, right?
Wow.
And the thing is that when he got in business, he did what he loved. He said, you got to do what you love, okay? And by the way, the secret to loving what you do, guys, is to love what you do. You get it? It's like, okay, embrace it, love it. I mean, where else in the world would anyone pay you what you make or what you have made? No one. That's why you stay in real estate. So stop complaining about it and embrace it,
right.
Okay? And so anyway, we won't talk about Richard anymore. But first is beliefs. Okay, number 1, what are your beliefs? What are their beliefs? You admire Oprah. What are Oprah's beliefs? What are your beliefs?
Right.
Or how about somebody who makes $1 million, $500,000 in the business? If you chat with them for a few minutes, you will get their beliefs, especially if you're listening for them. You open your filter. What are their beliefs? What do they believe? They believe in possibilities. Many of you, unfortunately, hang out with people who believe in limitation. Wow. And it can't be done. They complain about the market and all that kind of thing, okay? So beliefs, and by the way, if you change the first belief, if you want to double your income overnight, and you can do it like nothing in real estate. I mean, you're doing 1, 2 deals, you do 3, 4 deals. What's the big deal? It's nothing.
Right.
And that's, when I coach people, the first session, I say, what do you want out of the coaching program? What do you want to do in the next year? Mm-hmm. And they always say to me, well, I should be realistic, shouldn't I? I said, no, you should be unrealistic. You should be unreasonable. Wow. Unreasonable in your demands, because the universe is abundant. It will give you whatever you ask. The problem is you're not asking for much, right? It's like it says in the Bible, ask and you shall receive, knock and it shall be opened. But you got to do the knocking and you got to do the asking. Right. It's like when you're sitting around your house, you don't jump up and go open the door to see if anybody's there, right?
Right.
Yeah. So unless you're, paranoid, and just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that they're not after you.
Right.
Yeah. So the thing is, what are you asking for? Most people are asking for. There's a saying, and I don't know if I even know it because I'm off the top of my head, but I used to love this quote. I don't know the whole quote, but something. I bargain with life for a penny, when only to realize that life would have paid whatever I'd ask. Something like that. That's paraphrased. It's not accurate, but you get the essence of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so beliefs, number 1. Number 2, values. What matters to you? If you talk to people who are really, and we talk about values in life, well, we could talk about values in real estate. In terms of real estate, where do you whatever your values are is where you put your time and energy. So in terms of real estate, where do they put their time and energy, and what aspects of real estate? So when you're having conversations with top producers, you listen for what's the most important, where do you spend most of your time? How do you do that? What do you expect from that, right? Because remember this, guys. If you expect, you never are going to get the results unless you expect them. So what you expect to happen occurs. what you don't expect to happen doesn't occur. So if you're not expecting much, you're probably not getting much, but just start expecting more. So beliefs are number one. Values are number two. So values, what matters to you. Now, for a lot of people, they had a vision when they came in the business, but they lost sight of it because it didn't work, and so it was too painful to hold on to the vision, and they let go of it. So you might revisit what your original vision was for you in the business. Never mind the circumstances or conditions. Don't be a reaction to the market. Be a response to the market. You decide what you want. The universe will respond. If you're going to say, well, market's bad and this and that, and you listen to a lot of your friends, sometimes you need some new friends, or you don't want to hang out with some of the people you're hanging out with. Sure. I mean, that's one thing. When I started working on my consciousness and transforming my life, which I had to do because I was in such pain after losing my son and everything, I lost some of my friends. Not because it wasn't a value judgment, but they weren't up to anything. You want to hang around with people who are up to something in life. So modeling is beliefs, values, and number three are strategies. So what is strategies to syntax? So what is their approach to the business? Someone who's earning a lot more than, let's say, you're earning or producing more. What's their strategy? How do they get there? What do they do first? What do they do second? Strategy is a syntax. It's like a phone number. If you don't get it in order, you don't get your friend on the other end of the line. Right. So look at that and model. And by the way, the fourth component, there's a fourth component, which is you have to get the beliefs in your unconscious mind. The values have to become intrinsic to who you are in your unconscious mind, or in who you are and what you're about and what matters to you, because you will always give your time to what matters to you. Invest yourself and your time and your energies and your thought. And number three are your strategies. The strategies when it's in your unconscious mind, it's like a tennis player. The serve comes across the net at 90 miles an hour. You can't think about how to return it. You already missed the point. So it has to be so much a part of you. As Maslow talked about that, unconscious, incompetent, you're dumb and you don't know it. Conscious, incompetent, you're dumb and now you know it. That's an improvement, by the way. And then conscious, competent, you know that you know. That's a, senior sales manager can't tell them shit, nothing. And then there's unconscious, competent. That means you know it so well you don't have to think about it because you are it. By that time, you have become it. So that's the process, right?
So our goal is to become unconscious, competent.
Yes.
That's the top of the.
That's the top of the. That's the top of the pyramid in Maslow's terms, but let me also say that, and you know this because I know you live your life this way, and I do too, is that when you get to the level of unconscious competent, you know it so well you don't have to think about it. You have to introduce new learnings so that you go back through the process of unconscious incompetent, conscious incompetent, conscious competent to unconscious competent once again. That's how it stays new and fresh and exciting to you, and you're engaged in the process and you stay in the game, and also you elevate your level of clarity and consciousness with regard to your business. And we're in the people business, so it's infinite ways you can learn about people. And so it enhances your life, and that's why some people still are extremely vital. I used to go to Norman Vincent Peale's church when I was for like 5 years, 6 years, in New York City, Marble Collegiate Church. And at the time, he was about 65 years old. He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking. You've heard of the book.
Sure.
And we used to sit in the audience and listen to Dr. Peale. He was a very dynamic speaker. And then afterward, he would come down in the vestibule. You could have brunch there, and Dr. Peale would walk around and talk to everyone. So it was really fascinating. He introduced me to W. Clement Stone, who was a self-made billionaire. And he gave me 4 books, which made a huge difference in my life. One of them was Think and Grow Rich, and another book that he wrote with Napoleon Hill, and so on and so on. So these things can make a huge difference. But later, I was on a program with Dr. Peale when he was 90 years young.